So the first video I started out with was the hearing. Basically, they introduced it as the unmasking of the missing or murdered Indigenous women throughout the United States. Even from the start, I was in shock at the rates these Native American women were experiencing compared to even the rest of the population. On reservations alone, a place that should be a safe space for these women, for their culture, for the Indigenous people, the murder rates of these women were 10 times the national average, which is huge. The factual example that was part of the hearing was that in just 2016 alone, over 5,000 Indigenous women were reported missing or murdered just within that year. And what was even more alarming was about those numbers is that because Indigenous women are so underrepresented, realistically, those numbers are much larger. Something that definitely spoke to me, not necessarily in a positive way, but it did stand out, was that from the examples given during the hearing, the Federal Bureau of Investigations took much longer to take part in these missing women cases and murder cases. Just for example, one family who lost a daughter, it took the FBI over 9 months to join the search. So for those first 9 months, it was just on the family. And to this day, which is years later, their daughter's still missing. For another, a young woman's body was found behind a gas station where it took state troopers over 11 hours to arrive to the scene. Uh, just I'm thinking of the culture the community that I live in right now, that just would be absolutely unheard of if that had happened. A major takeaway from this video for me was, why is this kind of treatment happening to Indigenous women compared to other cultures and races? I was able to tie it back to the slides that despite the United States' strong constitutional protection for many basic rights, U.S. laws and practices actually routinely violate rights particular to areas of criminal justice, Indian law, which is what ties all back to this, radical and ethical minorities, Indigenous women, and so forth. And so I guess that partially ties it back, but it doesn't explain the overall gist of it for me. Situations such as this then tie to the safety of our sisters video, where the violence against Indigenous women was never certain situations it was never even prosecuted due to loopholes in the laws of jurisdiction of criminal prosecution on Indian reservations. So ultimately, I think it really is extremely important that this topic is publicly talked about in the way that the safety of our sisters is doing, by raising awareness, and then doing this also through mediums such as news, which is one of the videos we watched, social media, and then organizations, just so that people are aware of the facts and how these women are being treated, and